Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, taking a look at a 7-round NFL mock draft for the New York Giants. Giants fans have to be extraordinarily pleased with how this season went. Brian Daboll seems to be the guy at head coach, and as a Bills fan, super happy for him. I think he's a phenomenal coach, and you take a look at what he did with the roster that he had, probably the best head coaching job we saw in the NFL. Now, going into the offseason, I think Daniel Jones showed that there are some bones to him and he could really make it work in Brian Daboll's scheme. And I think there's a reason why they went on and got Coach Brian Daboll, because him and Josh Allen have very similar traits. And you obviously saw him have a lot of success with Josh Allen in Buffalo. I think you can build around Daniel Jones. Before we get into the draft, though, I just want to say thank you to you guys. The support you guys have shown during draft season is absolutely awesome. And the reason I like doing this is talking with the fans and kind of talking about position fits, where to go with rosters. And we appreciate all the support you guys have shown. Gotten through almost our top 300 on our big board. So we're going to get right into this. And again, thank you guys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Start off this draft. We got pick 25 coming up. There's a lot of ways the New York Giants could go, and I'm looking at that cornerback position or that wide receiver position. Obviously, we've talked about this, and if you follow our NFL draft content, we talk about this a lot, how loaded this cornerback group is. A guy like Joey Porter Jr., I'm going to have as probably a top 15 prospect, and if he's there at pick 25, I think this is a no-brainer. Joey Porter Jr. can be a cornerback one, and I'm not going to say he's Sauce Gardner, but when you watch the film of Joey Porter Jr., really reminds you of him. If you go turn on the highlights, the first thing you notice is just the absurd length that he has, but also really, really nice hips. Really, really smooth athlete for the length that he has. And a lot of the traits that he possesses, I think, are going to translate at the next level. And again, this cornerback class is absolutely loaded. If the Giants want to attack that position at pick 25, they're going to have a nice group of selections to build around. Now, at that tight end position, Darnell Washington is a very interesting pick, and I think it'd be a really fun pick. Now, that being said, I'm going to go in a different direction here because I really do like some of the linebackers that kind of fall to this level. DeMarvion Overshown's a guy that he can be really good. He's a former safety. He has all the traits that you like and that you want an NFL linebacker to have in terms of range, in terms of the ability to cover people. Obviously, as a converted safety, he's a little bit undersized, and the questions are, can he take on blocks inside the box? But the most important things you're asked to do as a linebacker, I think, in the current era of the NFL is covering tight ends up the seam, going and tackling running backs in the flat and space. That is where DeMarvion Overshown excels, and I think he'd be a really nice selection here. That being said, I hate to do this because we just did a Jacksonville Jaguars mock. Darnell Washington sitting at 50, 57 here, I think just makes too much sense. It's a position of need for the Giants, but what you're getting with Darnell Washington is a sixth offensive lineman who is extremely athletic. 6'7", 275 pounds. A year ago, I was kind of banging the table to move him to offensive tackle. He came out of high school as a 5-star recruit, and basically he was just 6'7", 70-pound guy out of high school that you didn't really know what to do with. Georgia puts him at tight end. There was a lot of question marks about his ability to be a pass catcher. Daniel Bellinger's been good. Darnell Washington, if the Giants want to continue to run the football, Darnell Washington is going to unlock that in a big-time way because, again, he's a hammer in the run game. I legitimately could be an offensive tackle. He could have started offensive tackle at the collegiate level. They stick him at tight end. He's improved his pass-catching ability, but the biggest thing I think he offers you is that when you get into the red zone and those throwing windows are tight, having a 6'7" dude who can go up and make plays is massive. Teams in the NFL now, kicking field goals isn't enough. You need to score touchdowns, and it gets hard when you get inside the 10, inside the 20, when the throwing windows get small. Darnell Washington's going to be a guy that teams are going to love because of the value he has in the red zone. Again, pick 89. Now, this is where I think you could be looking at that linebacker position because this is probably my favorite time of the draft to take a linebacker because there are some really good linebackers that end up falling. Because I don't want to take a linebacker in the first round. I don't think the position is important enough to warrant that kind of pick unless it's a real stud. But at pick 89, there are some really good linebackers that are still available. I think Henry To'oTo'o is a guy that I really, really like. Ivan Pace, I have some question marks about, and If you guys want to hear my thoughts on him, stay tuned for the linebacker position ranks that we're coming out with, I believe, at the end of this week. This is a tough. None of these linebackers are like kind of my guys. I think Noah Sewell would have been a really nice pick at 87. Let's take a look at that interior offensive line just because none of these guys are really, really popping out at me. Well, we're going to go get Andrew Voorhees. He's a guy that, again, really powerful dude. He's probably going to finish as a top 50 prospect for me. Plays that guard position, extreme pop in his get off. And if the Giants want to continue to run the football and continue to be good in pass protection, Andrew Voorhees probably a day one starter for them. And you're getting him in the middle of the third round. Now pick 128. Now I kind of want to go back to that linebacker position and take a look at who's available. Owen Popo, I feel a little bit better taking him now than I did in round 3. He's a guy that came out of high school as a 5-star, flies around the football field. He's a little bit undersized, but again, when we talk about what you want in a linebacker, you want those linebackers that can play in space. Owen Popo is that kind of guy. And again, I think he's going to move up the draft board once he gets to testing because he's going to test like an absolute freak. There's a reason why he was a 5-star coming into Auburn. There's going to be a reason why he tests very well and probably moves up that board. Again, if you look at the film, Ivan Pace Jr. probably played better in terms of what you saw on the football field. But in terms of projectable traits, I think Owen Popo is a guy that people are going to like a lot, as you can't really teach some of the stuff that he has. Pick round 5. Now, this is kind of where you're getting to. Where can we just add some depth? I think wide receiver might be worth a look at this point as well. There are some guys that it might be falling that probably can come in and provide some value. Justin Shorter is a really interesting prospect. 6'4", 220 pounds. Came to Penn State originally as a 5-star. Has struggled to stay healthy, but when he's healthy, and he's struggled with some drops as well, he's a guy that the ceiling is so high for him. Like his movement skills for a guy like his size, I encourage you guys, if you're not familiar with the name, to go check him out. I think he has some serious juice to him. And again, he's a little bit of a project just because in terms of what you saw on the football field, Charlie Jones from Purdue, Ronnie Bell from Michigan, those guys are extremely good wide receivers who played good at the college level. Limited upside. Both guys are probably would work from the slot. If you want to get a guy that has really big time upside could be in wide receiver 1, I think Justin Shorter is probably the pick. And again, I have a feeling Justin Shorter is going to go higher than PFF has him because the upside that this guy has is truly special. And I think that'd be worth kind of taking a flyer on late in this round. Pick 171, taking a look at roster, what they could need. Maybe you go get like kind of a running back, a depth running back here. I'm a fan of drafting running backs because you don't want to have to go pay a veteran running back. Go get a running back on a rookie deal. Saquon Barkley, obviously, you hope comes back. If he doesn't, and Saquon Barkley's tough because I'm kind of the poster boy for not necessarily going out and paying running backs, but what you saw Saquon Barkley do and what he meant to that team, I think it's really hard to argue that Saquon Barkley was not a very important aspect of that running game and that offense in general. Because again, Saquon Barkley is more than just a really good running back. He's an offensive weapon. I think what you could do is go get a running back that could kind of balance him out a little bit. Chris Rodriguez is a really, really interesting kind of look here. He's a hammer, like 225 pounds, maybe even 230, an absolute bowling ball. Not necessarily the athlete Saquon Barkley was, but if you want to get hard 2 yards, Chris Rodriguez is going to get you the hard 2 yards. I think that could be worth a look. I want to continue to maybe just take a look at what are some other interior offensive linemen available here late. Ricky Stromberg, I really like. We already kind of, hey, that could be worth a look in my opinion. Ricky Stromberg from Arkansas played really, really good football for a very long time. Kind of beefing up that interior offensive lineman. Let's go get Ricky Stromberg. He's a guy that he's played such a high level for so long in the SEC. Like, you absolutely have to love that. Andrew Voorhees is going to be, I think, a starting guard. John Feliciano, I believe, is up on contract. Replace him with a guy that, again, Ricky Stromberg is a guy that probably comes in and just plays really good football for the New York Giants. And so you're probably taking a flyer on him. Again, probably not going to be an all-pro center, but he's going to be a damn good center that you can get in on a rookie deal. Pick 239. I don't even hate drafting Jaron Hall this late just because I think he has some serious upside and a really, really live arm. Let's take a look at this running back position now. We kind of pass on it later. Not a guy that I absolutely love. Actually, really, it's really ugly here. If we were to run this back, maybe go get like a Zach Evans or some higher upside running back. I don't Travis Dye coming off a brutal injury. I don't love the idea of drafting that. Maybe take a look at another linebacker here because I don't think it's a bad idea to get some more depth at that position. Carlton Marshall, he's awesome. We're gonna get Carlton Marshall. Carlton Marshall, like back to back to back years. I should take a look at his stats real quick because the production he's had at Troy over the last couple of years is absolutely insane. I'll read it off to you guys. He's awesome. He's played 5 seasons for Troy. His last 4 seasons, 127 tackles, 114 tackles, 126 tackles, 135 tackles, 51 total tackles for a loss in his career. Talk about a guy who's just gotten it done. And again, I know it's not at the Power 5 level, but if you're putting up those kind of numbers, 578 total tackles in his college football career, like he's going to translate to the next level because he just gets to position. He's a good football player. I think that'd be a really nice get late. Taking a look here, like we can go back and let's check the wide receivers again. I think there's some guys. Darius Davis is just an absolute speedster. Jaden Hazelwood might not be a horrible pick here. He's a former top 5 national recruit coming into Oklahoma, transferred to Arkansas, never really played to that level. But again, you might want to bet on the traits there. And I think he can provide some value in at least just another body in that wide receiver room, because when you look at that wide receiver room, it ain't that great. And I love the Isaiah Hodgins, like again, former Bill, like, Brian Daboll was jumping when he saw him available. I think you could get a nice little upside wide receiver here. Last pick for the Giants in this draft, 255. Now you're kind of looking at who might be able to play special teams. Dante Stills, talk about it. He's another guy that the reason he's going 7th round is because the upside really isn't there. He's kind of a tweener. He's probably not going to be like an elite nose tackle. He's probably not going to be an elite edge rusher. That being said, played that 3-tech position for West Virginia for a couple years. I mean, double-digit sacks, double-digit tackles for loss. All that guy does is get behind the line of scrimmage. The final grade for a draft, Joey Porter Jr. should not be a B-. He's one of my favorite picks in this draft. Darnell Washington was a nice pick and a very, very – that's an exciting pick for Giants fans. Andrew Voorhees, he's another guy that PFF has a little lower than I have him on my board. Owen Popo, I like some other linebackers. Noah Sewell would have been a nice get around that area. Justin Short is, again, a guy that he's kind of my personal favorite. And then I think we got some nice sleepers kind of in the 7th round. And this is always the key to the NFL draft in my eyes is there are some really good linebackers late in classes. Like Carlton Marshall's played at a high level at college for an extremely long time. He's not going to go very high because, again, like the traits might not be there, although I think he's a pretty damn good athlete. I think that could be a nice get. And then Jaden Hazelwood, just betting on the traits and the athleticism, and Dante Stills, just a damn good football player who falls to round 7. I like the draft. Appreciate it. The Giants fans, please let me know in the comment section what you guys think. What positions maybe I missed out on. Going back, I would have liked to gotten a wide receiver a little bit earlier. Like Justin Short is a guy with a lot of upside, but he also has a lot of bust potential. So not necessarily a blue chip kind of talent that we got there. Appreciate you guys for checking us out, though, as usual. And if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later.